Hello and welcome back to yet another exciting episode of the Movie Hoppers. And today we have two guests, one of which has been on the show just a few months ago, and the other was on the show like exactly a year ago, almost day to date. Um, would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
Yes. My name is Isaac. I was on the Movie Hoppers reviewing Mulan, which was something. I guess. That's the only thing I'll say.
And hi guys, I'm Emme. I did Cats, that monstrosity with
Mm-hmm.
Joe, and we also did Bombshell together. That was a little while ago, back when movie theaters were like open. And I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, cool. So this is a kind of, I guess, a big movie. Probably a lot of people were excited for this one. Yeah, why beat around the
Yeah.
bush? We're reviewing Soul, uh, new Pixar movie, starring what is Jamie Foxx the main guy, or is that?
Yeah,
It's
Jamie
Jamie
Foxx
Foxx
is
and Tina Fey.
Yeah,
yeah, Jamie Foxx.
I know.
Directed by Pete Docter, who also directed the Monsters Inc. movie, and I think he also directed Up.
I
Huh?
think he did Inside Out too, but I could
Oh
be wrong.
yeah,
I got,
I think so.
I
I'm
got
not
some
sure.
Inside Out vibes here, so I guess that makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, that makes
Um,
sense.
but
Pete Docter's movies in Pixar are very emotion focused. You kind of
mhm.
notice a trend with Pixar directors. The Brad Bird
Yeah, the
movies are
Brad
kind of
Birds
the more
adult.
serious toned ones,
I would
and the
say
Pete
like
Docter
Brad.
ones, yeah, they focus on a lot of emotion. I think Inside Out, Up. He really has that Pixar cry formula nailed down.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Inside Out was literally about emotion, so, um, and this one's about death, so I guess yeah.
Pretty dark for a Pixar movie.
Yeah, were you guys surprised? I watched it with my family on Christmas, and were you guys surprised that the film did not pull any punches? It did not hold back in terms of literally fleshing out themes of death and morality, or not morality, mortality, sorry. And it's just like, honestly, yeah, this was one of the Pixar movies where morality didn't come into play, but mortality, yes. And there's other Pixar movies that deal with death, but this was just not subtle at all. Like we see Joe die,
Yeah.
Yeah,
in the
but except like they
trailers
sort of
too.
like downplay it. They kind of downplay it
Well, yeah,
as
it's a
more.
cut. It's not like he gets like shot in the head. I mean, he dies in a
Yeah,
cartoony way,
he
but it
just
definitely,
yeah.
like that. It's not the point though. It's not supposed to be graphic. But yeah, it definitely plays with the theme of death a lot. Obviously, you can see
Yeah,
from
because
the
like that.
trailers.
I
Yeah,
just
because
remember my
it's
parents being like, kids are going to be scared of this. Like they're
Yeah.
but
they're going to
but
look
the
at, and honestly it's hard, I think, like Isaac has talked about constantly, that people kind of look at animation as a very kid centric
yeah, very
idea,
kid
and
centric.
that's like annoying to people like us who are older but who grew up loving these movies and who continue to want to watch these movies. um, and I really like that they kind of jumped right into really dark themes, and that they didn't really talk down to the kids that are watching. But I was a little worried about, some imagery and some things that may have been a little bit too intense for younger viewers.
Yeah. I mean, definitely doesn't feel like a kids movie. It doesn't. It feels like this was just a movie made for just people in general. So
Yeah,
and
ranked
Yeah, I
for all
agree.
audiences.
yeah, which I mean, it's a Pixar movie, and Pixar is usually, that's where Pixar kind of one ups DreamWorks.
Yeah,
Pixar movies always feel like just movies for everyone, not just movies for kids. And this is definitely one where even if you don't have any kids, you can watch it and not be embarrassed or whatever. Um, but
well, yeah.
yeah, uh, it. Oh, what did you guys think of this?
I thought like so I was so I watched it alone.
Mm-hmm.
I think like the movie was really good. Like in general overall, I like the idea how they. I don't know about like the whole situation, like how Emmy brought up like the death scene, because like again it also leads back to children watching this might be frightened or something. To me, though, I feel like they tried to make it as kid friendly as possible. Like they didn't cut to him like physically dying. They just cut to him as a soul, which I thought was like all right. Um, the character, I like most in general the character Joe Gardner to me was I found like most relatable.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I like the movie. Um, so don't get me wrong. I'm gonna be set. It's one of those movies for me where I like it. It's good, but I feel like I have more bad to say than good, just because the good you know
Yeah, outweighs out.
quality
Yeah,
over quantity here. But
I do
some.
want to say this though, like the
Mhm.
animation in this is like to me
Oh, it's
looks really,
breathtaking. Are you
it's
I
kidding?
liked
really
it.
good. The
Even
animation
when
is
you're
Yeah.
in
really
like
good.
school, when you're first being introduced to like Joe's life and his atmosphere, and you're in the school, you can read the writing on the textbooks. Like they're not just like math. It's like, it has like actual names of like the textbooks and the shadows casting in from the windows and the intricacy of the instruments. And people went nuts over back in Coco when they animated the notes that Miguel was playing. Now
Yeah.
you got all sorts of instruments being played. You have the girl playing saxophone, he's playing piano, and
Hmm.
those are the real notes. And I'm not a musician, but as somebody who appreciates music and animation, I just found that really breathtaking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like in like most cases, I found like with movies when they're playing instruments, they usually have it to look like they're playing in like they're playing was like they're playing the piano for example. They would have it angled so the people won't see the exact keys they're playing because well yeah like in general I feel like this was like well researched in terms like of instruments because it looks like they were hitting the right keys because
Hmm.
like in most movies that I noticed they usually hit the wrong keys or something like that. It, from what I can understand, this movie kind of did it really beautifully with the jazz aspect of it.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the pluses. I didn't really even think about that when watching. One of the pluses of animation is that you don't really the actors don't need to know how to play the instruments, and
Yeah,
you can just do it afterwards. And Pixar has always been technologically, at the cutting edge. And for me, that's never truly done it for me. Like it looks realistic. I know that
the
Pixar can do
animation.
realism.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
animation to me looks so realistic. Like the people actually
Yeah.
walk and talk like people. Like you can see through the smallest movements, like whether they're embarrassed or whether they're just like playing it off or something, like shaking their hands. Like it looks real to me.
Yeah.
Like it's absolutely realistic, and like I am absolutely amazed that they achieved this during like the COVID pandemic, which really stuns me.
Yeah. Well,
There was a lot of humanity captured in the film with the animation, the facial expressions, but also I just feel like the dialogue was super authentic. Like when the characters were having conversations with each other, they seemed so genuine, Like I feel like sometimes with kids' movies, especially, they try to, have filler dialogue, but it was just like I was honestly impressed with like hearing everyday conversations through these characters because as a writer, I try to capture that myself, and try to you don't want to feel like you're mimicking people talking. You want to
Yeah.
just write like this is how I would talk to my brother, my friend, my neighbor. And I just feel like from every scene in the movie, like it felt really authentic.
hmm
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah. Um.
Joe, I want to hear some of the negatives that you thought about this movie because I actually have looked at a lot of different reviews. I do that after every movie I watch, but I want to hear
mhm.
about like what you didn't like about it because I want to hear if like if your thoughts are the same as what I've seen or if you have like a new perspective on.
Yeah. I saw review. I didn't actually read them. I just saw the numbers, and obviously it's good, and it is a good movie. It is a good movie. There's
Yeah.
no questioning that. But I feel like some part. If you've seen the trailers of this movie, it kind of leaves the plot, ambiguous. Like the trailer is all about the guy dies and then
Mm-hmm.
somehow he goes back, but that's all you get. So for me, it was kind of disappointing to see that this whole, the plot, for at least a lot of the movie, the plot does change a lot, but for a lot of the movie was a body swap thing, and
Yeah.
I guess just because it was left in such ambiguity, like, oh my god, what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? You saw this animation, it looked so creative, and you saw these new ideas being presented, and it's like, oh my god, they're hiding this plot. They're not showing the cards. They have something big. They have something huge, and then you just get a body swap movie,
You
and it's
guys
like,
have no idea how disappointed I was. Like, oh my god, they braved us again. They really made him from. Oh wait, that's a spoiler.
Yeah,
But
there's a spoiler. Yeah.
you guys know what part I'm referring to, and we'll get into
Yeah.
it later. But you're right, Joe. They completely turned what we thought we were getting on its heads, and I don't like that. I mean, I got past it eventually as it kind of played out because some beautiful scenes came out of that instance. But literally, I was sitting there and I went, "Oh my God, they braved us!" And my parents were like, "What? Braved us? What is it?" I was like, "Shush, shush, shush, shush. You don't understand." But like, I was so nervous. I was like, "Why would you guys do that?"
Another thing that I didn't like, since let's just get all the negatives out of the way, is kind of like a nitpick. If you're a nitpicky person, the logic in this movie is very contradictory. There's a lot of parts where the movie just makes it up as it goes. Like, it writes itself into a corner and then just makes something up to get itself out, and then it just never.
I see what you mean.
Especially, no spoiler, but the end was like so rushed. It was like they had no way to get out of the situation they put themselves in, so they're just like, yeah, this guy says this, and there we go. That's it. That's the solution
Yeah,
to the problem.
I see what you mean. Like, yeah, I do agree. The ending was a bit rushed. Like,
Yeah.
I really didn't expect that sort of ending. I thought it was just going to I'm trying to word this the best
beat
I
around the
can without.
bush.
Yeah, I'm trying to word this the best I can without revealing any spoilers. I thought like it would just like go with it, like
Yeah, I was hoping it would.
yeah, go with that. Like I would be fine with it going with that because
But
like
you guys need to realize, I'm going to jump in here, that if they went with that ending, Disney would have received so much backlash. So much backlash for going through with that ending, with our main lead being who he is. Whenever Disney has a chance to do an ending that's polarizing, especially with a person of color, in the main
that's
role,
what happened. That's what happened with Princess and the Frog, right? Like,
well, the one of the main concerns about the movie was the trope of like, burying your blacks, or like making people of color into like a creature. It happened in Princess and the Frog, it happened in Spies in Disguise, and people were concerned like, oh, here's this African American man, and he's into jazz, and he's a teacher, and he's going through his life and having really authentic interactions with people, and then he's a blob. And I thought, but I've seen a lot of in the reviews that like, oh my gosh, that's not the whole thing. Like, there's actually more to this, and it actually makes up for the time that he spends as the little soul character. Which again, I think that, you needed that obviously to be a part of the movie, but I do understand, I'm not a person of color myself, so I can't like speak for the community, but
I mean, would you say like this was better executed than Princess and the Frog?
Oh yeah, no, I
me,
do.
yeah,
And
I believe.
I love Princess and the Frog, I do. But yeah, I mean, like, again, I can't speak for people of color, but I think that what I've seen from people of color that have reviewed this movie is that they were happy with how it was executed. And I just wanted to, jump in and say that if they went through with the ending that was predicted, it may have been better for the story, but it would have caused backlash. No kid wants to see that ending on Christmas.
I know, like
Well,
that's
they could have played it off.
Lead,
yeah, that's like, it's understandable, like from what you're saying at me, but at the same time, it's not really an excuse to why they had to rush it. I wouldn't consider that excuse. There is no excuse of why it should have like rushed endings or bad writing in general. Because like, they could have planned this out like carefully. Like I know, like at some point, I think they were trying to figure out. Like they must have spent a lot of time figuring out the ending, because it feels that way. It gave off that vibe that they were genuinely trying to figure out how they would end this movie. Because like again, it happened with like Frozen 2 when I watched the behind the scenes. They were trying to figure out who would call out, like who would be the voice of Elsa, and they only figured that out 6 months into the movie, 6 months into the production. But yeah, it felt like watching it with this. I can't speak, but with this movie, it felt like they were they were taking their time trying to figure out an ending, but they just kind of rushed it in the end. It just felt like, to me, it felt that way.
I guess
Yeah.
I don't feel that it was rushed. I mean, like, I think that the ending was it was the right amount of ambiguous, and it's kind of what I expected. I like the ending. I don't remember feeling that it was being rushed or anything. And I haven't
But
read
like
that
to
review.
me, I feel like they could have done it a bit more. Like I think they could have done
Okay.
it a bit better.
Uh,
That's what I'm saying.
we,
Yeah.
we can talk about the ending all day, but I think that we should save some of that for the spoiler talk, just because we can, use specific
Yeah.
pieces of evidence. Then kind of beating around the bush here and a lot,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of things to digest there. But yeah, I just my main point that I brought up 10 hours ago, was yeah, just there was a lot of Deus ex machinas, I guess, which, when you're dealing with death and when you're dealing with an afterlife in, movie form, I'm kind of dealing with that right now in one of my projects, and you do have to make up a lot of BS. You kind of have to BS your way through a lot of it to make it just make it work. But I feel like this movie does it just a bit too much, especially for something that is supposed to be a serious and dramatic movie. There's a lot of times where the movie just I feel like if it just better established its universe and didn't just again make up everything as it went, I would have been more fine with all these rules.
I
But
do agree with you,
yeah.
Joe. I
Yeah.
think that there was a bit of a pacing issue at the beginning of the movie. I was almost surprised that when,
Yeah.
he first goes to the soul world, he just accepts, like, oh, this is a thing. Like, he has the cute little line where, like, am I in heaven? Am I in hell? And they're all like, hell, which is hilarious, by the way.
Yeah.
And I I just feel like he's kind of like, oh, yeah, this is like the land of the souls. Okay, that makes sense.
I
And
would. Yeah.
then
Yeah.
I would say the pacing in the beginning like feels a bit
it's
off. I feel
off,
like.
right?
Yeah. I feel like they could have developed like Joe Gardner a bit more. Like I don't know, like possibly make something up, like or have more connections with his student or something like that. Any of that matter to like properly develop it before he can go off into the soul world, because like it was pretty short. It was that
Yeah.
short.
Well, I guess the reason why I guess they didn't do that is because for a animated movie, I guess, I mean, again, it's not a kids movie, but at the same time they have to still market it towards children, and
Hmm.
the people that have the final say in these movies aren't thinking about the artistic merit of it. Um, is 1 hour. It's like 1 hour 48 minutes, which is pretty long. So I'm guessing that there might even be a cut of the movie that does have more character development and does have more stuff. Because thinking back on it, you guys are like totally right. There should have been more development in the beginning. But there's no way they would have made this movie like 2 hours or over. I'm guessing that's the problem there.
I
I
mean,
think
here's the
Um,
thing.
it was
Like,
a
here's the
lot
thing though.
longer.
Like, The Incredibles was like an hour and 58 minutes. So even like,
yeah.
Ralph Breaks the Internet was also like, I believe so, an hour and 58 minutes. So like, either way, they could have had a they. There was like no excuse. They still could have added a bit more development to Joe's character, because
Mhm.
like again, like The Incredibles was like almost 2 hours 2 hours long, so they could have at least done the same thing with like Joe Gardner, add a bit more character development, add a
Yeah.
bit more runtime. I do agree with you that there could be some like deleted footage that they could have taken out. Possibly, they might have a good reason, but at the same time, I think they don't. Which, like, I don't know, like, what to think of that.
Yeah. We won't really know until the
Isaac,
Blu-ray.
I got to thinking, you're saying that his character development in the beginning, when we're kind of like being introduced to his life, it's very short. But then I kind of think about um, and this is something I can talk about in the spoiler talk in more depth, but it's like, it's his purpose, you know? He's like, I'm a teacher and I like jazz. That's it. That's all you need to know about me as a character. And then it kind of zaps you into the new world, and then we see him grow from there. So I do agree with you that, like, more character development could have been given, but I think it's kind of reflective of later scenes in the movie.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, now that you say that, kind of makes sense. It also kind of, I guess, represents how life can like fly by you. You can let life go by without appreciating, some other things that you should be appreciating. Again, beating around the bush for obvious reasons. Um, but yeah, no, I guess it could be some like actual meaning behind it. I didn't think of that before, but yeah, huh. Uh, and
Do you
I
guys want to get into spoiler talk in a little bit, just because, like, to get really into like the meat of everything?
Yeah, like, but I do like want to say like a couple of things like related to the art. The character designs, like, how did you all feel about the character designs? Because
I
like I'm like reading like something about what they did with the character designs, and they kind of how would you describe the character designs?
well, when I first saw the trailer again, I guess just going back to that because I really remember seeing the trailer for the first time and being like amazed. I saw the the character designs and the whole art style. They have the part where he falls and goes into the the baby afterlife. That sounds wrong, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is really cool. And the character designs, they're very minimalistic, obviously. That's what they're going for. And I liked it, but, with the character designs and the animation and all, like, the weird stuff they tried, I wish they went further. I wish they, like, went further with it all. Like, you have these minimalistic characters, and you have that part where he's falling, where briefly goes into like a wire, like this. I don't even know what the design is. I don't even know what the art style is called. But
The like you mean like the
It's
soul?
like kind of gradient almost.
yeah, yeah, like that, and they do that like once, and I thought I kind of, I don't know, just with everything regarding the animation, I just wish they went like farther off the deep end. Now this is like the first Pixar movie that's tried to go off the deep end, so I guess baby steps. But I kind of
Yeah.
wish again, but I kind of bulldozed your question, but I'm fine with the character design. I kind of
I
wish,
really
yeah.
liked. Oh, sorry, Joe, were you not done?
No, I was done. You can go.
Yeah, so I really liked the character design. I think my favorite design out of all the characters in the movie are the little Terrys and Jerrys, the universe
Oh yeah, they're
guys.
Yeah,
cool.
to me it
They're
reminded
so
me a
cool.
lot of like 2D animation because
I know, yeah.
I felt like they used 2D animation in some way, but if
They
like because
had to.
feels yeah, because they felt a lot more, how do I say, movable, like not constrained or something, or like
Yeah,
I don't know how to describe it. But it's like a
No,
lot more,
they're a lot more mobile. They're like
yeah, a lot more
very.
mobile, which is something you never see, like to me at least, you never see that in computer animation. This is a lot more like more free, like
Mhm.
the designs and the animation, like they feel a lot more freedom. There's a lot more freedom going into it. And to me, like it just reminds me of 2D animation. And like going back to you, Joe, like I think they must have put in like 2D animation at some point. I
yeah,
think I'll
yeah,
I think I'll just research that quickly. But you guys can.
yeah. Again, I like the Terrys and Jerrys. Yeah, definitely. They're probably my favorite designs. I just wish there was like more of stuff like that, you know. But
Yeah.
Like more on the abstract side, because
oh
it
yeah,
is an
yeah.
abstract concept. It's kind of
Hmm.
like, honestly, Joe, I think you wanted something a little bit more like Inside Out. Like pretty much every
Hmm.
single character in that movie was very abstract, like just the thought of like shaping emotions into characters, like little beings. So I think that Pete Docter definitely took inspiration from his previous works and
Uh-huh.
incorporated it into this design.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I know for the Terrys and Jerrys, I know if you're researching that they modeled them like when they were modeling the characters, they use like wire, like
Yeah.
actual wire. That's why that like it's all connected. It's all one line because that's how they were designed. But yeah,
I would say definitely they're my favorite designs out of the
oh yeah,
entire movie.
yeah, they're really cool how they can move about in a 3D world. You know, it's kind
In
of
like
cool.
some way, it kind of reminds me of like the genie from Aladdin, where they like constantly morph.
Hmm.
It just, it gave me like that sort of like idea where they like constantly morph. Like you can do anything. Like to me, you can do anything with like 2D animation because like there's no limits whatsoever with 2D animation. 3D
Yeah.
animation, there's some limits that you there are some things you can't do in 3D animation, and there are some things you can do. But like overall, I have to believe that the Terrys and Jerrys have to be 2D animated because like there's no way they could have done that with like the 3D animation software they have.
Well, they probably could have
They
done it.
could, but like it just
It's probably 2D. Yeah, it's probably 2D. They probably just drew them on after the fact, something like that. But again, that's probably something we won't know until the behind the scenes on like the DVD or whatever they're gonna do
yeah.
with this. Um, but yeah, I
How do you
mean,
guys think the release of this movie like affects the
Yeah, that was
future
like
of
gonna be
how
my
we
next
watch things?
question.
Personally, you guys know my stance on movie theaters. I don't like going to the movies. I'm kind of even glad they're going out of business because I hate going to the movies. And I love the fact that I could just boop, new movie, remote click, sit back, make my own popcorn, have my blankets, and
Well,
be in the quiet of my own home. And I just think like this is the future. This is good.
yeah,
like for me, I prefer like going to movie theaters over like watching it on my phone because like you get to see everything that goes on is like happening in the big screen, and it looks so to me it looks so magical and like well cinematic. For example, like it's to me it's a lot better to see it like on the big screen than rather seeing it on your small phone. Like even if you have a big TV or something, it's technically not the same, and it gives you a more cinematic experience in bettering watching the movie than when you watch it on like Disney Plus or Netflix.
yeah.
It's hard though for me personally, Isaac, just because like I, I'm 18, but I love animation. I will never stop loving animation. And I remember, I think the last Disney movie I saw in theaters was Moana. And I was
Was it an
literally
Onward?
oh, no, 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 you're right. It was Onward. And Onward was very different because it was less crowded. But when I went to go see Moana, she was halfway through How Far I'll Go, and there was a little girl screaming and crying, and I guess that's just the part of it. It's like I know you bring your kids because they want to see the new Disney princess, but I want to go watch like a movie and think about it and embrace art. Like
Mhm.
Yeah,
Disney
that's
is for
understandable.
everybody.
Yeah.
And I just think, and that's cool that you guys like movie theaters, and I definitely agree. Like, it gives you a cinematic experience. But for somebody like me, I have a nice TV, fortunately, and I can, I just sit on my couch or my bed and I watch the movie. And, like, it's perfect for me because if I can really appreciate and analyze what I'm watching and not have a screaming child or a kid kicking my chair, or be scared of the guy looking over his shoulder 10,000 times, like I will feel more comfortable with that.
Yeah.
But I just think it's really weird how movie theaters they will be a thing of the past eventually. And it's just it is
Yeah.
sad because it's been a part of our culture for so long, but it's just really interesting to see how it develops over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got if I guess I'll butt in here for a second because
Yeah, sure.
obviously if you watch the show, I don't know if you know this, but I see I guess well before the whole COVID thing, I think the only uh episode I didn't actually see in theaters, the only movie I didn't see in theaters was The Queen's Corgi, and that's because it was not released in theaters over here because it was trash. Um, but yeah, so I'm a big movie guy. Luckily, I have a projector, so I could see this projected. So that's something. It's obviously not top of the line, but at least I could see it, semi how it's supposed to. But I guess my whole thing with the streaming thing is that there's gonna be a lot of aspects of the movie that it just lost like forever, just because streaming just isn't, it's not there yet. Streaming isn't at the point where it can be compared to, movie theater quality.
Yeah.
Even at the top of the line, you're streaming like a 20 gigabyte file compared to like the terabytes and terabytes of data that you can, put into a movie, like actually display in the theater. So there's tons of details that the vast majority of like viewers will just never be able to see. Like details that people have put like thousands of hours into. People have put, especially with animated movies, that's the biggest tragedy, because animated movies especially suffer from the lower bit rate, because I'm not going to get into it, but it does. Just thousands of hours of work just out the window, just can like actually physically never be seen on streaming just because of bitrate, whatever. So I do like movie theaters. I like the sound. I like the atmosphere. The people who made this movie, they made it to be seen there. It is meant to, it's meant to be seen there. Obviously, in my opinion, they should have just delayed it. But if they had to release it right now, this is the way to do it because of COVID. I think if you're going to release a movie in theaters, release it in streaming at the same time. But yeah, I just I guess that's just my spiel. Movie theaters are the way that these are meant to be seen. They're made for the movie theaters. So
especially like Soul gives it a more like cinematic experience too. Like especially with the movie, it's like it's not really great to see it on the small screen. Like I have a 4K TV, but like it's not even fun watching it on that either, because like it's not really that much of a great experience too. And yeah, like going back to your question, I mean, like in some way, this idea that they're going for putting like Soul on Disney Plus, it's impacting a lot of studios in some way, because I heard like with future movies like Raya and the Last Dragon, they're being put on Disney Plus with a fee. We somehow got Soul for free, thankfully. I think it has to do something with Mulan, but like, yeah.
Raya is going to be theatrically released too, like at the same time.
Yeah. Raya's, it's going to be like simultaneously, and many studios are heading towards this path. So really, Emmy, I do believe that like streaming is the future, and like it's really sad to see like theaters being left behind. But at the same time, this is the direction we're going for, because at this point, it's technically it's technically like the studio's only way, because they can't make money off of theaters anymore, and I guess like with the idea of streaming, they can just make their own money without splitting it with theaters or anything like that. So really, it's sort of like an advantage for them and an advantage for us. We get to see it at home. They get to keep all the money too, just for themselves. They don't have to share with anyone. So it really, like the idea of putting Soul on Disney Plus, it's going to impact movie theaters. Like it's going to impact the future of streaming, and in some ways, like the future of our culture. Because again, we all have this. Well, technically, we have to believe like that streaming is the future, because it's going to happen either way. Like whether we deny it or not, it's going to happen. But yeah,
what I feel like with the whole streaming being the future thing is that right now, streaming is winning against movie theaters, but it's basically like saying, oh look, this product, like how people are saying the Nintendo Switch sold more than the PS5. Like, oh my God, look at this, the Nintendo Switch sold more than this brand new, console. But at the same time, there must have been hundreds of millions or more Nintendo Switches to buy than PS4s. Right now, people don't have the choice to go to theaters, right? Some people want to. Some people do have the choice. They want to. They have the choice, but they just can't because of health reasons. Right now, streaming is winning a one-sided battle. So I think we won't really know if streaming is going to win over until after the pandemic's over. See if it sticks, because again, right now, it's like, streaming is the only thing, really the only viable thing on the market for the vast majority of the people, at least in this country. And in other countries like Japan, again, they're not exactly like us, but in Japan, they just just recently released their highest grossing film of all time. China released their highest grossing film of all time. So I think, theaters might die here, but we don't know yet. Like looking at Japan and China again, they released their highest, they're doing well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll have to see what happens. I think big movies, like, even Soul of Fast and Furious, Marvel movies, they're going to be released in theaters, but I think maybe smaller independent movies might be shifted online. But again,
And I
Yeah.
guess
we'll
I
see.
do kind of agree that, like, I saw Endgame in a movie theater, and honestly, I don't like movie theaters, but I couldn't imagine seeing a big scale Marvel movie anywhere else. I
Yeah.
could have
Yeah.
watched Spider-Man Homecoming at home, but something like Endgame or like Justice League, even though Justice League sucked,
Oops.
Yeah.
it like big scale movies like that have kind of been cultivating and building like over decades, really, you kind of need to see those in theaters. So I definitely don't really want to see all theaters go for people like you guys who really appreciate the cinematic appeal. But I guess me personally, I don't really think about that. I just think about how uncomfortable physical theaters make me feel. I guess, like, me having anxiety disorder, I guess I just really don't like being in uncontrolled environments where,
Yeah.
people, I've literally walked into and maybe it's just where we live. Because I mean, like, we live in the suburbs a couple hours from, not even from Philly and from Trenton, and I've been into movie theaters, and I went to go see Joker last year, and there was a guy like in the back, and he was like walking around and like looking shifty, and then you see stuff on the news, and with the Dark Knight shooting that happened all those years ago, like I think about that stuff, and it's totally irrational, and I know that, but like I just think, like, I do not want to die in a greasy movie theater in the Chamonix Mall. I just do not.
That's where I would want to die.
Joe is like, okay, my tombstone has to be a movie theater seat.
Yeah,
If I don't
spread-
get that
Nowhere
red,
else.
Spread
Nowhere
my
else.
ash.
seat,
Yeah, spread my ashes in the Neshaminy movie theater, please.
literally. Change the name of all Regal theaters to Joe's Theaters.
Yes, hell yeah.
Regal Joe. That's your dying wish.
Yes. Yeah, no, I understand that aspect of it. For me, I guess, I've just been to so many movies. I'm just, I guess I'm just numb to it, which doesn't make me the best gauge of that kind of thing. But yeah, I know a lot of people, have that problem, which is understandable. But
There's like, so sorry.
no, I was just gonna end my thought. What were you saying?
I was gonna like ask like one more question before we could get into the spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like, did anyone else think they could have gone for like a more musical style or something similar to what they did for Coco? Because like, since this is more like a theme of like, this has like the plot of Joe Gardner, who has a passion for jazz. Didn't anyone else think they could have went for like a musical style or something?
I liked the music in it. I think, I really like how they illustrate the in the zone. I think that was my favorite concept of the whole movie. When Pixar does that world building, I think that, like, with Inside Out, they did like the train of thought, the the dreamland, and the different emotions and the different personality worlds. Like, that's super cool, and I love that in I promise I'm getting back to the music thing, Isaac. That in Soul, that they had like people being in the zone as like, and it's like, this is where the physical and the spiritual meet, and I just found that so cool and like really trippy in a cool way. And but I think that definitely plays a big role of it, with the music. Kind of, this movie was made for artists. I mean, like, people, I agree with Joe, like, this was made for people, but personally, if you're an artist, if you've been in that zone, and you feel it, and I do think that they had a good atmosphere with the jazz. Perhaps they could have elaborated with it a little bit more, but I think that again, now that we are in the spoiler talk, it's not about the jazz. It's not.
Oh wait, not spoiler talk yet. Not spoiler talk
Yeah.
yet. In
Yeah,
5
we were
seconds.
still talking.
5 seconds.
We were
It
still
is just about the
talking-
jazz. It is just about the jazz. It's about the jazz.
Jazz is great, guys. Jazz for life. Sorry, I thought Isaac
yeah,
said
no,
spoiler
it's
talk
fine.
time. Okay, I'll wait for Joe's cue. Anyway, it's like his purpose is jazz, so I think that they could have elaborated on a little bit more, but I think that also it may have taken away from the story if a lot of it was just jazz. And honestly, I see that in Coco as well. It's a music story. He loves music, but you have to move the story along. If you kind of fill it with like musical anecdotes, it kind of gets lost, I feel like.
Yeah, like I was thinking about it while watching the movie. Like at the same time, it's understandable why you wouldn't have like why you I can't speak, why you wouldn't have it like in a musical style format, which is understandable because like you want to move the plot along. But at the same time, I feel like since like this is a movie about like someone who has a passion for music, they could have taken advantage of that in some way. But like again, it all leads back to how the plot was formatted, and like it's understandable why they didn't go for the musical style. But like I'm rather curious how they could have what they would have done. Like I'm just curious on if they could have done that. Like how would it look?
I guess they could have. It's not something like after I saw this movie, I wasn't thinking, like, hey, this should have been musical because, like Emme said, there was a lot of musical aspects, put in. Like the jazz in the background always corresponded with what was going on screen very well. So it was a very musical movie as is. I don't. I mean, I don't know how they. I guess they could have, but all of the music in the movie didn't really have any vocals, so
Yeah.
I don't know how they would have how it would have moved the story along with something like
Yeah.
that.
It was just like a thought on like
Yeah.
whether or not they could have like seized the chance to make this a musical. But like either way, even if it was a musical, I think the movie would turn out fine. It would have issues with the plot, but like either way, the movie turned out fine. So
Yeah.
I
Oh,
guess
if it was a full-on musical, it would have come off as campy. I can tell you that right now.
Campy, huh? What do you think?
If he would have, like, believe me, I love musicals, but you need to suspend disbelief with musicals. You need to, if you're gonna, especially if you're discussing really heavy themes, you need to start with music and kind of end with that music. Like think about, like Hamilton. That starts with music and there's music all the way through. Think about Les Mis. There's so much emotion in that show and there's no dialogue. In musicals that are kind of meant to be more fun and lighthearted, like Grease or like Legally Blonde, those have dialogue in between. Those have like scenes. If Soul were a musical, that connection between the characters, that dialogue, it couldn't have been carried out if it wanted to remain serious. And don't get me wrong, there's plenty of Disney movies that execute the musical formula really well, and with emotion too, like The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast and Hunchback, all classic Disney movies. And the rule that Howard Ashman said is when you are so emotional you can't speak anymore, sing, and when you're so emotional you can't sing anymore, sing and dance. So I just feel like that's more, when you think about those songs, it's usually like confessions of love or confessions of anger or like the villains being all villainous. And I feel like if, we are talking about the essence of this movie is raw human emotions, it's appreciation of life. And I just feel like making a musical out of those everyday moments takes the humanity and the normality out of it. It kind of is like, it doesn't allow you to suspend disbelief.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to get into spoiler talk?
Oh yes.
I feel like
Let's go,
there's a
baby.
lot of
I'm
pent up
ready.
stuff going up here. Yeah.
There's so much pent up stuff.
There is so much to talk about the spoiler and like the spoilers talk.
Uh,
If you guys don't mind, Joe, if you want to do like a little transition thing, but I would like to go first in the
no, you
spoilers.
go for it.
Yeah, go for it.
Again, as a writer, the dialogue in this movie blew my mind. It was honestly one of my favorite things about this movie, and I was very excited because, like, as somebody who experiments with like poetry and things like that, I love it when a sentence is said or like a phrase is said and it makes you stop and you're like, like, wow, I'm thinking about that. And there's two lines of dialogue in the movie that really made me think of that. And one was in the trailer, is when 22 says, "Is all this living really worth dying for?" And it's even more elaborated upon in the movie. You see how cynical she becomes. Think about 22 as a concept for a second. She's soul number 22, like, meaning when the universe in this world was created and the souls were created, she was number 22. In the beginning, he's like pairing up other souls. He's like, this is soul number 82,500. And here's number 22, who's been here for like thousands of years. She's interacted with like Aristotle and Marie Antoinette. She's been there for thousands and thousands of years. She's like as old as the dinosaurs, older probably. And, she just has this mentality of like, Earth is stupid. There's no living. You live all this life and then you die. Like, what's the point of it? What is so great about it? Why do people love life so much if they know they're just going to die one day? So that was really, I like that line at first in the trailer, but then in the movie, it just adds way more depth. And then towards the end of the movie, when Joe has a conversation with Dorothea Williams, he comes up to her and she tells like the fish story. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And she's
that
like,
was like that
was
kind of
good.
like blew me away.
So
that was really good.
I was sitting with my dad and my mom. We were watching it, and my dad's like a pretty cynical person, and he likes his movies that he likes. Like, he's literally he watches the sequel to Sherlock Holmes with Robert Downey Jr. every single night. It's on and every single night, and he watches it, and he loves seeing Robert Downey Jr. kick ass and kill people, and he loves superhero movies. When she said that, and she was like, this is water. I want the ocean. He literally sat back and went, And I was like, just that little like, that resonated with him. And that made me happy. That made me think like, wow, like my dad appreciated art. Good job, Dad. But when she said that, I was like, we've all felt that, you guys. Especially now.
Personally felt that.
Like, especially now, like, being our age in this world, applying to college, wanting more out of life, and life refuses to give it to us. I sound like a privileged millennial there, but we came into this year being like, we have hopes and dreams. We want to have our prom. We want to have our class trip. And then COVID happened. And I'm just like, we're surrounded by all this water. Why can't we have the frickin' ocean? And I just like, that really spoke to me. And I just really, I think that was probably, again, that contributes to the dialogue and the themes in this movie. And I think that the writers really went knees deep into this. And I just really appreciate that as a writer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think, couldn't have said that better myself. I think, that line, I like the ocean.
I would say
line,
like
obviously.
that would be my favorite line in the like from like every movie that Pixar has written, that from every line that Disney has written, like the original animation studio, that would be like the one line, like the second line that spoke to me. The first one is out from Treasure Planet, but like the second one that really spoke to me personally, like being an artist and all, and wanting more, like wanting to work at Disney or Pixar, having like high hopes and expectations. To me, like it's like you have what you have, like so. To me, I think I figured it like you have what you have, so you gotta I really don't know how to explain it, but
Yeah.
like it's like all that really spoke to me personally, like as a person. I started thinking about it all night, like after I watched the movie, I started thinking about it like for a couple of
No,
hours.
seriously. It
Yeah,
makes you think. You
Yeah.
it
just sit
made
back because it's one of those lines where you hear it and you're like, what does that mean? And you know it, like you understand it, but you can't explain it.
like I knew what she meant though. Like I knew what she meant like when I first heard that line, but like it got me thinking about my own life and what I have like done or like could have done or something like that. It's like all that like contributes to how like well written that line, like that how that whole scene was done. It was like it was really the best line generally like from every single movie I've watched, I would consider that to be like my favorite movie, like favorite line from any animated movie because it was like really well executed and it like gives you it like going back to what Emmy says, it leaves you thinking.
Hmm. Yeah, I just finished watching the movie a few hours ago, so I haven't had a lot of time to stew on this, which is why I'm kind of just sitting back and be like, oh yeah, that's right. You guys are absolutely right. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, no, I didn't even. I kind of when I finished watching this movie, I kind of viewed it as more of a whole, more than the like individual parts and the the lines and stuff. So I guess I looked at it maybe too broadly. I was focused more on the plot and the animation
Well,
and
yeah, Joe,
yeah.
you're a movie guy. That's how your brain works. You're like, okay, what
Yeah.
are the technicalities? I am a
Yeah,
cinema
yeah,
sims
yeah.
writer. I think like cinema sims. Like, I get it.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, you guys, this conversation's really making me think about this movie in a different way. I don't know if it would change my rating, but it's definitely, it's cool.
like even if it doesn't like change your rating, like it just leaves you thinking though.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
even if you like even if people say they hate the movie, that
Hmm.
one line though will always stick with them. They can say the
Yeah,
movie
everybody
sucks or
can relate
something.
to that.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
can say the
Unless
movie
they're really
sucks, but like
too
the line.
stupid to like understand what it means, and they're just like, "Huh, the
yeah,
ocean."
Oh yeah,
yeah. What I kind of got from that line was that it's kind of like people constant. I guess just that line is basically the whole theme of the movie. If you want to describe this movie in one sentence, it'd be the fish story, which is probably more than one sentence, but you get the point.
yeah,
It's basically sometimes you're so focused on looking to into the future that you don't realize you have everything that you ever wanted in the present. Um, and obviously, the people. This is coming from writers who are working at freaking Disney and Pixar, so it's like, whoop de doo. But it is true. It does hold true. I think a lot of people have what they want in life. I know a lot of, well, I guess secondhand, but I do know some people that have like basically everything that they want in life, but they just keep thinking more and more and more. And I know I personally have problems like that. So
yeah.
yeah,
I always have problems like that.
oh yeah, any creator, honestly, anybody who creates, what I've seen so far is that a lot of people who create things, either writers, artists, whatever, they just focus on creating the next thing, not realizing, the beautiful things that they have in front of them, you know. And it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. It pressures people to make better things, but at the same time, they don't really, you know, really appreciate what they have made. Double-edged sword. But
Yeah,
yeah, that I guess that goes back to what Emmy said about this being a movie for artists. Um, I kind of I understand that. Um, I think this movie understands that too.
yeah.
Hmm. Um,
It's yeah.
oh,
Oh, no, I wasn't going to say anything.
yeah, I guess we can. I don't know. Is there anything else we can say about the ending?
Okay,
Uh,
yeah, the
No, yeah,
ending.
we can literally
There's
talk about. We can say it in full terms now.
yeah.
Well, the ending. Yeah, so basically, what happens in the ending is that Joe Gardner. So after sending 22 off to Earth, he basically is given a second chance at life, and instead of going to the great beyond, and I'm just like they kind of rushed that. Like the line where he says like I'm gonna live every moment of it. That was also a good line that you wrote, but the ending feels a bit too rushed, which is the biggest problem for me that I
Yeah,
found.
it's another symptom of the whole lack of world building, where the whole Great Beyond just kind of makes shit up as it goes. I just feel like that was the biggest point because it's the ending. It's pretty
Yeah,
important. That's what the movie leaves you on, and I feel like it definitely could have. Joe Gardner definitely could have went to the Great Beyond, and it would have been a happy, satisfying ending. Especially if he showed him, being happy, doing his
yeah,
thing, doing his, whatever
But
jazz
I
or
feel like
whatever he
again,
wants.
if we first of all, if Joe
yeah,
went to the Great Beyond, you would get the backlash.
yeah.
And second of all, if he went to the Great Beyond, you'd get another round of backlash from religious people because who is Pixar to describe what heaven looks like?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
Well, I mean, they were
that's
kind of
sort of
doing it the whole
true.
movie. They were kind of doing it the whole movie with the whole, road to heaven and the whole babies thing. You kind of
I
have
mean,
Yeah,
to.
like you, I feel like that was a thing that everybody could kind of get behind. Like, okay, yeah, there's
like
a
here's the
perfect
thing.
world.
Here's another animated movie that I'm pretty sure like both of you have never heard of, but like so there's this like one animated movie that has like a similar concept, and like this movie is called like All Dogs Go to Heaven. So
I
basically,
felt, yeah.
I'll just skip to the ending. So basically, the main character dies while saving the girl, and he just goes to heaven. He doesn't like get a second chance at life. That happens at the sequel, but the sequel's terrible. But like either way, like the first movie, like how they did that, like with him going to heaven, like the dog, the main character going to heaven. He's a dog, but like how they executed that. I was like mad at first, but when I was thinking about it, like over time, it kind of makes sense why they had to end it off at like that, because that to me felt more like a satisfying ending to go off of. It was like it was happy. It was like well executed. It was like well done. Um, but like with what they did here, they could have done that concept again, like what they did with All Dogs Go to Heaven. But like at the same time, yeah, like what Emmy's discussing with the backlash and all, that's
Yeah,
understandable.
it's different.
Yeah.
If a dog is dying, people get upset when dogs die. Like Disney is really trying to pave the way for representation. God knows they've screwed over the LGBT community so many times
Oh
that
yeah,
they're really like,
multiple
okay,
times with
guys,
their Disney
we
villains.
finally did it. And they'll say it again with this one because there was like a scene where he's looking around and there's like a picture of two women like holding hands. And they'll be like, oh, we did it, guys. There, you see in that 1 second frame, there's lesbians. We
Yeah.
did it. We represented the
They did that with Finding Dory
Yeah,
too.
I remember that, but there was like
Yeah.
a big backlash for Finding Dory too. The people who are against that kind of thing, they got pissed.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's like
and you
it's
have
so
those
so
assholes on
weird.
one part of it, and then you have the LGBTQ plus members who are like, "This isn't enough," and they're right, it's not enough. Then you have
It's really not.
Onward with the troll lady who's like, "My girlfriend," and
It's
they're
yeah,
like,
it's
"Yes, we did it, guys." And then they have Beauty
like
and the Beast with
yeah.
LeFou. Let's name our first gay character literally the Fool and have him dance with a man. Oh, so gay, guys. We did it. We are truly woke. And I could go on and on about Pixar and Disney having horrible LGBTQ plus representation. But they have gotten better with people of color. And again, I'm not
They have gotten better, but the problem is like with the amount of like the how do I say like the screen time of showing like homosexual relationships. That's sort of the main problem, because like in most cases many of those relationships are like cut short. I don't know. I think it's just, to me I feel like they're just slowly trying to get into the point where they're comfortable enough to like show it properly. I guess that's sort of my theory, because they
Yeah.
kind of showed it a bit, like little by little in certain movies, and
they
they're just
can't really have that, for lack of a better word, certification of representation until they have, and Pixar's actually done this. They had Out on Disney Plus, and
yeah, I
that's
saw that.
amazing. Out's awesome, but until they have a feature length film with a gay couple, they're going to be kind of stuck in that bubble. And again, I really appreciate the effort because, you know, you don't see DreamWorks trying, but, you know, you need to put different people in the forefront. As a white person, it was so refreshing to see a cast of all Black people. I was like, oh, there's no one that looks like me. This is awesome. Can you imagine, like, the whole, like, everybody's, I can't imagine what it's like, you know, for young African-American, Hispanic people of color who are like, wow, I'm not in this. Like, people that look like me aren't in this movie. And honestly, as, you know, somebody who is white, I was like, huh, there's all Black people. And I wasn't offended. I was like, this is awesome. My dad, who's a little bit more old-fashioned, he was like, you know, there's so many Black people in this movie. I'm like, that's the point, Dad. That's the setting.
My dad was like that too, and yeah, it's probably because he's really old fashioned, like really old
And again,
fashioned.
it's like, you know, they're like, what? But that's what I'm saying, guys. Like, we're so used to seeing people that look similar to us. And, you know, I mean, like, it's, Isaac, it's probably different for you because you are a
Yeah,
person of color.
yeah,
And it's just like, I can't imagine what it's like. So I just try to be as, you know, sympathetic and authentic as possible. But it's just like, it was so refreshing to be like,
yeah.
huh, there's
To
no
me,
white
yeah.
people.
To
Yes.
me, to me, it's really refreshing too, with, especially too with the voice actors. They had the right voice actors of color. Because like
Good,
yeah,
good.
you and I, Emmy
Yeah.
too. Like you and me and like Emmy talked about this before with Aladdin, how they had literally had like the entire cast of Aladdin, the original Aladdin, was entirely white,
Hmm.
and that's sort of like, to me as a person of like color, that's sort of a problem with me in particular, especially with a character like Apuna Hasapim Padalon from The Simpsons being voiced by a person of like voiced by a white person. It's a problem with me because really, like, to me, I feel like they're kind of going in for a more like offensive way, because like
Hmm.
Aladdin has done that in some cases, making offensive accents and stuff. To at least with Soul, they have like they didn't miscast or anything. They had like the right cast. They had the right cast of color, and it wasn't at all offensive. Like I'm not a, like a African American, but like to me, I wouldn't consider it offensive at all. Like it's actually it's actually refreshing to see like more diversity being put into their animated movies.
No, definitely. I mean, like, you're seeing a lot of it, you know, with a lot of the
Yeah,
shows that I watch. You know, season 4 of Big Mouth came out and they replaced Jenny Slate with Io Adibri. And, you know, they put her in the last episode of season 4, and, you know, she did great. And I was really worried. I mean, like, I'm a Jenny Slate fan, but, you know, I mean, it was kind of like, we need proper representation. And I just watched The Prom on Netflix, and you know, people are backlashing about that because James Corden is playing a gay man and he has a quote unquote gay man accent, and it seems more of like a stereotypical offensive joke.
yeah,
So I absolutely agree with that. You should be casting, if you're going to portray a role, you probably should be casting somebody who is very closely correlated with that role. I mean, that would be like casting, like having a transgender movie. I think there was a transgender movie, and they had like Elle Fanning play like a trans boy. And I was like, again, I'm not a transgender person, but I just kind of felt like upset about the fact that it could have been more represented. So I'm always pushing for getting people um, that are people of color, that are in the LGBTQ plus community, being in the media, because there's so many talented people. And Isaac, there are probably so many Arabic actors and actresses for
yeah.
Aladdin, but they were like, nah, let's just get our cast and let's just get
Especially
Robin
too when you
Williams.
consider like at the time, there was not much diversity going on, not much Arabian actors, not much black actors, not much Indian actors. None of that was going on. It's like I think with Soul, it kind of shows like it paves the way to diversity, to a more diverse back like to more diversity in media in general.
Yeah.
It's like paving the way to that. I'm actually pretty proud of that.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I've said absolutely nothing about this so far. I've been listening to you guys.
We were kind of silent. We were like, Joe, do you want to jump in? We've been ranting for the past 10 minutes.
Yeah, we've been ranting about biodiversity.
Yeah, this is definitely the most in-depth episode, I think, that we on the movie Hoppers. Usually it's a lot more joking. This is definitely more analytical, which fun. Yeah, this is pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know. You know, when I thought of that, I didn't. When I saw the movie, I wasn't really, I guess, thinking about that. I'm very you know, focused on the quality of the product. And then, not the product, fucking Christ, I sound like an executive. The quality of a piece of art. And
Joe has been desensitized. His brain is just literally like, okay, corporate margins. Yeah. How does this?
He's becoming the next Bob Iger.
Yeah, oh god, no.
Oh my
gosh. Michael Eisner,
CEO of Disney by default.
Yeah, but obviously that's it's a good thing there's more representation in the whole you know. I don't think we're ever gonna see a white person play a black animated character in a movie ever again, which is good, which is a good thing. You know, there's no point in that. There's so many talented actors of all races, of all genders, of all sexes that, you know, they could get their chance. And honestly, yeah, fucking good for this movie for not, I guess, fucking up. You know.
Yeah.
But one question.
Considering that Disney doesn't have a great track record.
Yeah. I mean, they're trying to improve, so good on them. But one question I have is, I've been thinking about this, you know, because I have ideas for movies all the time in my head, and it just connects. Do you think it's wrong to have a in a non-discriminatory way, totally you know, whatever, to have a straight person play a gay person? Go, both of you.
So I think that yes, I think ultimately. Mm-hmm. It's definitely more offensive for gay men.
Yeah, definitely offensive.
When you hear or you see a gay man, we all kind of have this idea of what they look like in our mind. I know a decent amount of gay guys, and they're all different, but when you think of, there definitely are the fair share of stereotypical gay guys. They dress very nicely, they have a higher pitched voice, they have good posture, they're kind of gossipy. You know, but that's a stereotype, and that, you know, that may apply to some people, but, you know, it's not, and really only gay people can understand their emotions, their experiences, you know, what they go through with their sexuality. So again, I think, you know, when James Corden played the gay character in The Prom, I liked his emotional performance, but I understood the backlash. I think that, you know, if you're casting a gay person or a gay character, you should have a gay person or a bisexual person to play that. Just somebody that isn't straight, you know, not
because if I would be honest, it would be more natural in some way, because again, they would emotionally connect with the character. I don't know how I phrase this, having a straight man play a gay man, but there are some cases that it might work out, but at the same time it cannot work out, because there's some instances where it might not work.
I think that if you you can have a straight person play a gay person on one condition, the director is gay. There we go. If it's a gay, if the role is a gay man, the director has to be a gay man. If the role is a gay female, the director has to be a gay female, because, you know, at the end of the day, the director's calling the shots. That's the one condition. And I don't know of any major gay directors, and there's probably some that I know. I just can't think of any right now. But I think a lot of problems with gay representation in movies come down to the directors. You know, these directors, you know, they're straight. They have they're speaking out their ass. They have no clue what they're talking about. Especially as the demand for, I can't believe we're still talking about Soul, but the demand for you know, LGBTQ.
Not even really There's not
Yeah.
even really any gay characters in this movie.
No,
I was
Yeah, we're
talking
just-
about
just
that one shot,
ranting.
and now we're just like,
Yeah, I mean, why not? Why not? This is already a pretty analytical episode, but
Yeah.
as I think the demand for LGBT content, is on the rise. Obviously, as the movement is, on the rise, and people want it to be more in depth. I think that we should definitely, I definitely want Hollywood or just anyone to adopt more gay directors, because at this, the only people that can properly represent the LGBT community are people in the LGBT community. And I don't know, I think that I'm more pushing for LGBT directors than actors, because they are the people who can really represent,
Yeah.
the thing. But yeah, that's my view on it. Again, my view on this Soul, this movie that we're reviewing. But yeah, no, why
yeah.
not?
Soul was good, guys. We liked
Yeah,
it.
Soul was. We
That's
like
why
Soul.
we're talking
Yeah, Soul
about
was
other
good.
things.
The fact that Soul could, we could platform off of Soul to this shows how, good of a movie Soul is. The fact that we could think,
it does. It makes
Yeah.
you think about
It is
humanity
diverse.
and the everyday beauties of life. And honestly, unfortunately, this movie came out in a time where life isn't really beautiful for a lot of people. And so I think it was important that this was released in 2020 to kind of remind everybody of like, hey, chin up, it's gonna get better,
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to air? Any more grievances?
I'm not. I don't.
I think that I talked about
I'll
the
just-
pacing.
I'll
Isaac,
just
you got
say.
something?
I'll just say this. The one emotional scene almost made me cry, and well, it kind of made me cry anyway, because there's not much. I don't get really emotional or cry much in movies. The first Pixar movie that made me cry was Coco, and then it led on to this. So I would say, to me at least, it was emotional.
What
It was really-
scene got you, Isaac?
So the scene where Joe Gardner's playing piano, and the items that he has right in front of him, and the items he has right in front of him when 22 is in his body, and he was just thinking about his own life, and yet to me that really got me as personally. I don't know if that happened to anyone else, but to me it really got me.
Yeah. I didn't have a scene. For me, I guess that's another negative. I'm a very negative person. But another negative is that I felt like, again, very personal thing, but I felt like all the emotional scenes to me felt cheap. They didn't land. But again, that's just one thing. It's not like an objective thing, but that's just me. So your mileage may
have
vary.
to say, I don't think that they were cheap, Joe, but I do agree there wasn't really like a hitter with this one. There wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't
like, a
really
scene.
that big of a hitter.
Every
compared to
Pixar movie kind of has that scene. Like Up has Ellie. Inside
Oh,
Out
yeah.
has when Riley comes home and sadness takes over. Coco has Remember Me. This movie had that piano scene, but then they also had like the lost soul scene, and then they also had like the final or the great beyond scene, and like confronting death. There were, I think that it tried to do too much in that aspect. It was like, all right, we're gonna make everybody cry, and they tried so hard that nobody ended up crying.
Except Isaac.
well, yeah, I cried because it was a bit more personal to
It's
me.
okay, Isaac. You weren't
Yeah.
the only one. A lot of people on Tumblr have expressed their sadness as well, their happy sadness as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anything else?
I think we can get on to the reviews.
Yeah,
Is it rating time, boys?
Sure. Yeah. Since this is the longest episode of the movie Hoppers.
Are you publishing this whole thing?
Yeah. No, I'm gonna publish the whole thing. Yeah. Fuck it. I think that there's like one or two.
Good luck, my man.
There's
People are gonna be like, an hour. I don't know if I want to sit through this.
Yeah,
one.
why not?
Emmy Oliver's on it. Oh God, I
There's-
think I'm gonna skip.
there's only one or two lines I might have to cut out because there's like a slight spoiler. But besides that,
Yeah.
the movie Hoppers, I guess, has a thing is all about freedom. I don't care if no people watch it. I just wanna, I just like having that out there. Just like uncensored
I just
thoughts
get
and
scared
feelings.
that we're gonna be in college one day, and people are gonna be like, Joe, look at this thing. You'd be like, oh, you don't need to look. I've definitely said
Yeah.
some stuff that's gonna piss people off.
Yeah.
Probably. I was
Well, I
trying
mean-
to be sympathetic and like authentic about everything, and people are probably gonna be like, you know, Emmy sounds a little racist. I'm like, I wasn't trying to.
Basically, well, anything worth saying is gonna piss someone off.
You're
you
right.
know?
That's just how
And
America works.
I just like publishing. That's why movie hopper episodes, they would probably get like hundreds of more views if I just made them like 10 minutes long. But I just like talking about movies, and I like having this out there for the people who just like listening to these more long form podcasts. And this was a really good episode. This is way different than I think anything I've ever done on the show. So
The key is have me and Isaac on.
yeah, no,
That's
this
the
is a
key.
This is good pairing. Yeah, this is a good thing we got
Because
going
me
on
and
here.
Isaac are both writers, and we both like love Disney, so we can just talk about it all day long.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I just like having all types of people on this show. Like, I've had people on this show that have probably never thought of a movie critically before, ever. Because, I mean, those people watch movies too. Their voices should be heard.
Joe, was Ayana like super into movies before you like started dating her and like brought her on here? Was she like a big movie buff too?
No, she wasn't super into movies, but she got there. She got there.
Yeah,
And
you
now
converted
I've
her.
converted.
You converted her.
No, I did.
She's like, oh god,
Yeah.
what have I gotten myself into? I'm a movie hopper now.
Yeah, no. She listens to the show though. She's probably gonna listen to this whole thing.
Hi, Ayana.
Yeah.
Hello.
But yeah, she's the number one fan. But yeah, no. So yeah, let's get to the number rating before this episode becomes longer than the actual
It's already
movie.
like an hour and 19 minutes.
Yeah, it's very long. But all right, I guess who wants to go first?
I guess I'll go
I
first.
will give this movie. Oh, sorry, Isaac, you want to go?
Oh,
Go.
no, you can go.
Okay,
It's fine.
I'm just gonna give this movie an 8 out of 10 because it was good emotionally. The animation was fascinating, and the themes were really relatable.
Isaac, you want to go?
I think I'll give it like 8.5 out of 10 because of how beautifully done the animation is, the themes, and the story being like personal to me. So I give it 8.5 out of 10.
I'm I had very high expectations for that, so this might play into that. But I'm gonna give it a 7.5 because I felt the plot was a little too as I said before briefly compared to the rest of the episode, but as I said before, the plot was a little too run of the mill for me. I kind of wish it embraced the its weird side more, but I do appreciate when it did embrace its weird side, and it's by no means bad, and I do recommend this movie to basically anyone. So yeah, go watch it. You probably have Disney Plus, so just go watch it.
Or you can just pirate it if you don't want to.
Yeah, sure.
Stop watching
What are you talking
The
about?
Mandalorian. Start watching Soul.
Yeah. So yeah, not a bad movie.
I have a good note to end this episode on, guys.
Go for it.
It has nothing to do with Soul, but I mentioned The Mandalorian. My grandmother got a total of 3 Baby Yoda dolls for Christmas this year. I got her one, my grandfather got her one, and she got a Chia pet of Baby Yoda.
Chia
So
pet.
she is all stocked up now.
Yeah, my Ayana got a Baby Yoda Build-A-Bear, and it makes little noises. So, yeah. So do you guys want to plug your stuff for the 2 people still watching?
Isaac, you can plug your stuff first. Mine's gonna be a bit.
Like, wait, what do you mean by that?
Just like promote. You say you have a Twitch channel and your YouTube. Yeah, I'll put the links in the description.
Yeah.
All right. So guys, I have a Twitch channel, so check that out. I mostly play dinosaur games and Minecraft, so yeah, check that out. Link will be in the description.
And check out your YouTube channel too.
Yep, my YouTube channel.
Very
I don't think
good
it needs.
stuff.
I don't think it needs much promotion already, but like,
Yeah,
check
why
out my
not?
YouTube channel. Then, yeah, why not?
Yeah, links in the description for all of this. And Emme, take it away.
I do not have a YouTube channel. Well,
Dang.
okay, I do, but I have one video on it on Big Mouth. BoJack Horseman video coming soon, I hope. But I have a Poshmark. I sell cool stuff. It's at Emme Rose 0902 on Poshmark, and you can see some cool writing stuff that I've done on my website. It's emilyoliverauthor.wix and honestly, that might be wrong, but Joe will get the right link in the description. You guys can go check that out too.
All right. And I have a podcast entitled The Movie Hoppers, where I like to talk about movies. No, but next time on The Movie Hoppers, I am going to review Wonder Woman with Kay, so look out for that one. That should be fun. It's been pretty polarizing, so those it's usually the best episodes when one person loves the movie and the other person hates it. It's usually funny. So
no.
Tune into that.
No, did you hate Wonder Woman?
I didn't see it yet, but
okay.
I might.
I haven't seen it yet either, but I'm ready for.
I just don't watch superhero movies in general. I don't care.
I'm generally not a fan, and this one is 2.5 hours long. So.
Oh, good luck, buddy boy.
You poor soul. I mean, I've watched the Emoji Movie 6 times. If that makes sense.
Isaac, why would you do that to yourself?
It's just the movie.
Oh, guys. If you go to our school, vote Isaac for best laugh
and
for best artist.
Yeah.
Isaac, as you just heard, Isaac has the best laugh in the world.
A little sample right there.
Yeah.
Geez, we need to make the freaking Joe, Isaac, and Emme show.
Joe. Well, yeah, our channel.
Yeah, I forgot
we could have a good thing going, but Joe and I didn't get nominated for superlatives because we are losers.
Damn. Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah.
It's all right, guys.
Good job, Isaac.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Isaac will win for both of us.
Isaac will win every category. He'll win cutest couple with himself.
Hell.
He'll win cutest couple with Disney Plus. Isaac will be like, I love Disney Plus. I'm devoted to Disney Plus.
My religion is Disney Plus.
Alright, so let's just end this episode because this might go 2 hours long if
Joe,
we keep going.
It's an hour and 24 minutes.
I do have to sync the audio.
That's the problem. Is we just could keep talking for hours.
So, if you got this far, God bless you, man. But thank you guys for listening. I always say watching, it should be listening, and goodbye.